Hello everyone and welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It's me, Captain Logan. And joining me as always is my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez. DJ, we got a crazy one tonight. There's so much news.
So much going on.
Yeah, it's insane. I figured, let's not just pick something. Let's just really half-ass it on each one of them. It's my whole plan this evening.
Yeah, you know, illegal some of the parts.
Bringing back the multi-topic extravaganza in a brand new way. Years ago, Geeks Not Nerds, our old kind of talk show before we were doing the live thing, before it was anything close to this format where we just had a topic, we would do these kind of long, like month or two long things where we'd let people, it was basically this show actually pre-recorded, right, where people would request topics, and then we did a multi-topic extravaganza where we do like several topics in a show. It was a novelty. Now we do it every week.
Your old pal DJ here, a wee lad of a DJ, got his answer to one of his questions on the multi-topic extravaganza.
Do you remember what the question was?
He was very excited. Oh, I think I got a couple in there, but no, it's been a long time.
And now you just ask me stuff all the time. Actually, you don't, because you don't care what I think anymore. Like, we've been doing this for so long, you're like, I'm not really all that. All I do is listen to Captain Logan's opinion 4 hours a week. I'm good. I don't need to know anything.
Yeah. Don't meet your heroes, kids.
Oh boy, if I had a dime for every time I heard that. Folks, we're changing things up just slightly here and there on the Captain Logan Show. You heard some new lead-in music tonight. We have a theme now for this show, or at least this is the theme I'm trying out. I put out a poll the other day to see if folks thought that I should keep changing it up every week, or if I should pick a theme for the show. And I always thought if we had a main theme, it would be something really jazzy and late-night talk show-ish. I've got the mug now with a logo. Everything feels more like a late-night talk show than it ever did before, and so that's what I'm going with right now. Folks, let me know what you think of that, and that's going to be the intro and outro music, is my plan, at least for the foreseeable future. We might try some other stuff if people aren't really digging on that, but I've had it stuck in my head for the last 48 hours ever since I landed on it. I just keep playing it, and I was like really excited about it. That, if you're curious, is Marvel V Capcom music. That's from the second game, and it's the Clock Tower stage. That was always my favorite, and then the waiting music that I did right before that is also from that game, and it's the training stage music, and I thought it was just kind of perfect for what we do.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It gets me in the perfect mood to read your questions to the captain.
Well, you know, that is a really specific thing to be in a mood for, and I've never heard anybody else say they're in the mood for that. I guess you have to do this, 100-something times before you can be like, I'm really craving asking other people's questions to someone else.
Well, it's going to be Pavlovian from now on. Every time I hear that song, I'm going to be like, must ask questions.
Look for super chats. Anyway, welcome everybody. I want to do a little bit of house cleaning stuff real quick, announcements before we get into the multi-topic extravaganza. I'm going to do a bunch of real quick lead-in topics. It'll still be a Q&A, Ask Me Anything show. I'm going to try not to go much longer than we usually do with the lead-in topic. It's just going to be a bunch of small ones, and if we miss a few, we can save them for Thursday, because a lot of this stuff will keep, I think. But I have a bunch of articles pulled up, and we'll spend just a minute or two on each of them is my plan, and you all know I will fail at that, but that's my plan right now at the moment. Hey, the Captain Logan Show now has its own YouTube channel. I just got that going live today. We're doing a clips channel, and the plan right now is for every day of the week we're going to have a new clip from the show popping up. So if you don't have time to listen to the whole show, or you just get really bored with anything that's not the lead-in topic, or your question, you can listen to the clips channel. You can check out the clips channel. You can subscribe there and see what new things pop up every day. Jason is running that for us. He's going to be the new Geekvolution intern, and he's got a number of projects like that he's working on. There's already 2 videos up there from episodes 219 and 220, but DJ, he's going to go all the way back in the archives and occasionally even post clips from months and years ago that aren't horribly time sensitive, where we just had really good questions, sometimes on writing, sometimes on TV, movie, comic stuff that's, not dated, that's not from just this last week. And you might hear some things, even if you watch the show regularly, that you don't remember or that you just never saw from an episode you didn't get through.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, there's probably a number of stuff that we wouldn't remember if we were to watch it again,
Yeah.
because it's all a blur.
Yep. So there's a lot of material there, and we haven't had, for a long time, I haven't had time to do timestamps for this show. I am also planning on bringing that back in addition to this, but in case that doesn't work out or it doesn't happen every time, there will still be some clips from each show that pop up there. And again, we're posting every day, so there's probably going to be at least 3 or 4 clips from each particular show. The link is in the description of this video, and I also posted it on the community tab. I'm also working on, with Jason, updating the Rewind podcast feed, and I'm going to try to start keeping that current again. So if you prefer listening to Superhero Rewind and Rewind United Unscripted on Spotify or Anchor as just an audio podcast instead of the live stream that we do here, I'm going to be updating that again, and give me a little bit of time to get, because I've got to put them up in order to get all the old episodes up before we get to the new ones, because there's still 11 or 12 that I've got to post there. I talked about the new themes, and then I wanted to also announce the Friday show this week and do a quick plug for Patreon. We're out of request month as of tomorrow, getting into September, so we'll be getting back to the regular Friday show, and at the $5 tier on Patreon, you can help us, Austin and I, choose from a list of like 50 things that we want to do, what we'll be talking about on Friday, and we did a poll, and as of right now, winning that poll, so each of us picks 2 things from that list that we want to do. Sometimes it's commentaries, sometimes it's discussion topics, often it's comic reviews and things. Right now, so each of us picks 2, and right now the winner is Sandman Volume 1, and I will make that official tomorrow, so if you want to go in there and vote, there's still a little bit of time, but that is probably what we'll be doing on Friday. Anyway, let's go ahead and get right into everything. Thanks so much for being here. If you're watching live, you're awesome. If you're watching after the fact, you're equally awesome, but you can interact with us, and you might have more fun if you can show up to the live show. Tuesdays and Thursdays right now, 7 o'clock. We often go a full 2 hours, so even if you can't make it for the whole show, you have to be an hour late or something, we still tend to be kind of kicking at that point. If you want to make sure that your question, topic, concern, complaint, exclamation is discussed on the show, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount, and of course I will guarantee that we'll talk about that. That helps keep the train running here on Geekvolution, and your support is very much appreciated. It makes it possible for me to continue to do whatever nonsense this is and tell people it's what I do for a living. I make sure to send those messages at DJ Martinez in the live comments. He'll answer to at DJ Martinez, at The Welder, at Microphone Standing Straight Up. Straight up. Any of those
Correct
things.
Microphone Man.
See, I didn't want to say it like that. Anyway, any and all questions and ideas, send to DJ Martinez in the comments, and we'll answer as many pre-written things as possible as well. Pre-written meaning not super chatted things. Okay, you guys are wonderful. Really appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get right to it. So, DJ, the Zaslav saga, of course, continues, and I'm not making everything about that tonight, but there will be a couple of things related to Warner Brothers and Discovery this evening, and let's get right into it. Again, several topics for our multi-topic extravaganza tonight. Batgirl to have funeral screening on Warner Brothers lot. This comes from Collider.com. Are you familiar with the phrase pouring salt in the wound? In another bizarre Batgirl update, according to Hollywood Reporter, HBO Max Casualty is in fact receiving theatrical screenings. This was as of 5 days ago, but not for the public. For all the time and effort spent, the $90 million that was shoveled into production, the DCEU film will be given a, quote, funeral screening, which means that only people permitted to the screenings will be cast and crew, representatives, and executives involved. DJ, there have been a lot of rumors about the footage for that movie being deleted, being destroyed, because of course everything's on digital now, and there was this weird article last week we almost talked about, and then it turned out that it wasn't as as exciting and insane as it sounded, where I guess the article was originally in French or some other language, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a translation error or something.
It was a translation error where people thought that it was being translated as the footage was deleted, when it turned out that it was just being like archived or shelved or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so we find now that footage does in fact still exist, although there have still been rumors that they're considering destroying it just to make some kind of example out of Batgirl. And I don't know if there's any truth to that whatsoever. But
well, they can't ever release it because in order to write it off, they can't ever make money off of it ever. So,
and that's one of the big reasons they did that. And
they might as well delete it. I mean, they can't. There's really no reason for them to keep it.
Is there some sort of a statute of limitations on that? Could they, years down the road, is it like a contract thing where like, okay, for 20 years you can't release it because of the tax write-off thing, but then now you can? Or could they sell it to someone? Like, is it just completely null and void? They can never do anything with it at all? Could they show it for free if they wanted to?
I don't know. The terms I've always heard is that they can't make any money off of it. I don't know if they could show it for free. I don't know if there's a way that they could do that and not make any money off. I don't know. That is definitely maybe up in the air, but I know they definitely can't make any money off of it.
I think at this point, everyone involved would probably love to just see it screened, regardless of whether anyone made any money on it. Like, mm-hmm. and that's where I'm at on it. My opinion is still, at the very least, it should be released in some way, if possible, even if they had to do it for free at this point. And I know that Zaslav, said it was irredeemable and that it would make the studio look bad and all of that. But like, I think the damage is kind of done, and the studio already kind of looks bad at this point because of all of these things that they're scrapping and not releasing. And so I don't know, I think it would help them not burn as many bridges, wouldn't you think, if they would find some way, if legally they can. Now, because we speculated about whether or not the point of this was tax write-off in the first place, and I was clearly wrong about it because of the money woes that they're in right now that I didn't fully understand until this last week, with the report that they only can afford to release 2 more big films this year. Like, a lot of this has to do with cost cutting, and reportedly they are trying to axe $3 billion worth of cost that Warner Brothers was just sinking money into all kinds of projects, and they really need to recoup as much of that as they can. This comes from lastly.com. By the way, I want to thank everybody in the Geekvolution public Discord for posting links to articles for possible use on the show. This week, everything I'm talking about came from guys posting there, and you guys are wonderful. Really appreciate it. They keep me up to speed wonderfully in there. Warner Brothers Discovery's push to cut $3 billion in cost is risking long-term damage to relationships with creative talent. The messaging both inside the company and externally is stay away or get out if you can, said one talent agent. Like, the plot thickens here, DJ. It's getting crazy. So how's this all going to shake out when the dust settles is ultimately the question.
I don't know. Like, is DC going to be one of their big players at all anymore?
It's hard to say, especially with, again, the way they're burning bridges, the way creators, talent, actors, even whole production companies are jumping ship with them right now. Like, yes, they've got these massive money woes, but nobody there seems very happy with the way Zaslav and Discovery is handling said money woes. Like, it isn't just, you have to cut costs. Like, I don't know, he's treating it like the government in high schools. It's just like cut all these major programs that people really need, and at the end of the day, why are we even sending kids to school? There's nothing left, Like, we don't even have pencils anymore. Why go to school? Like, that's what it's starting to feel like.
Yeah, it's all part of the master plan. The Zaslav plan.
Legendary is leaving. I'm looking for the article because I know I pulled this up. Here it is. Godzilla and Dune Studio looking to ditch Warner Brothers after release debate. Legendary Pictures is looking to end its deal with Warner Brothers and move to another studio, leaving the fate of the MonsterVerse and Dune in question. So now
gosh. Now you've gone too far. You cannot, if you mess up the Dune sequels, Zaslav,
Well, and I heard a lot of people worried about that 3-4 weeks ago when all of this started. It was like, oh no, what's going to happen to the Batman? We've covered that. We've talked about that a lot. What's going to happen to Dune? You know, the big things that are actually working there. And at first it seemed like those projects were safe, and the Batman is moving forward and seems to be. At least that's a thing made internally, and that's a Warner Studio production. It never occurred to me that, oh yeah, some of these things aren't made by Warner Brothers exclusively. And if you have a production company, I never thought of this, if you have a production company that's not happy with the guy on the top and how he's treating people working there as he's coming in and cleaning house, they might leave, and then you can lose even the big things that he likes and says are marks of quality, and that and that are the kinds of things that he wants the studio to be producing and releasing. So yeah, Dune is now no longer safe, and it's not a done deal. It sounds like, but I mean, if they're looking to leave, I don't know what the meeting looks like that gets them to stay. I feel like Zaslav would I don't know for sure, obviously, but I feel like Zaslav would maybe have to start reversing some things before some of these guys actually stick around. This is catastrophe. This is disaster.
Oh,
this is 3 minutes to midnight stuff. This is DEFCON 9. Who
in the world would buy Legendary, or I guess not buy, but work with them?
Well,
that's interesting.
My question is Dune a property? I assume Dune's a property owned by Warner Brothers. So if Legendary quit working with Warner's, they wouldn't still be making Dune, right? They'd have to go find other projects, I would assume. That I don't know for sure. Am I wrong about that? I guess I don't know. I don't know. Could you take the property somewhere else? I don't know. I don't know where the rights are.
I'm not sure. Senior Nerd says Dune 2 is currently filming and has a 2023 release date.
Oh, I didn't know it was actually filming already. And that makes a lot of sense, but I knew there was a lot of pre-production and set building and stuff on that, so I didn't know if they were already, in shooting.
Whew. I hope you're right, Senior Nerd. That makes me feel better.
Well, sure, but all this could happen in the middle of that and really mess that project up. I don't know how that whole thing would even work out. If they're in the middle of shooting, again, it kind of depends on who owns the rights. I'm sure somebody can tell me, but I would assume that they're not going to try to take it somewhere else in the middle of shooting it.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Mutali says Legendary wants to go to either Paramount or Sony. It's a dark day when you think that you have a chance at working better with Sony or Paramount and have more creative control and not be as concerned about people not seeing your films, DJ.
Sony. Wow. We're
in the absolute twilight zone here.
Yeah, these shows are starting out so depressing. Any super chats, guys? Can you cheer us up?
Well, let's just keep the depression continuing, depending on how you feel about this whole thing. Here's a development in the whole Ezra Miller Flash saga. This comes from hypebeast.com. In light of Ezra Miller's recent arrests and controversies, the non-binary actor lead in The Flash recently met with Warner Brothers leadership to discuss the future of the film. Just earlier this month, he released released a public apology to fans and has reassured that they will be committed to doing whatever is necessary to deal with their mental health issues. Apparently, I'll just summarize, apparently that meeting went okay, and Ezra Miller, started acting a lot more sobered up, oh no, it somehow never occurred to me that my movie might be in question and not come out!
Yeah, did you see the quote? It was something he wasn't really worried about all of the allegations and all the headlines, but then when he found out his movie was in trouble,
yep.
then
I meant to have that article up too, and I didn't, but I couldn't believe that quote. That was crazy.
That was really funny.
So it's looking.
And I love that Ezra Miller's just been like living under a rock this whole time.
Yeah.
And he's just and is just now hearing about the movie.
Well, it seemed like he was on the run. Like, there's going to be a TV movie or biopic made about this at some point.
Yeah.
And that's what it'll be called too, right? It'll be called like On the Run, because he's playing the Flash, or it'll be called like Run Ezra Run.
Run Ezra Run is great. You should pitch that.
I don't know if, because it seemed like he could be found for a while. It was like, oh, where is he? It was like several weeks, and then they finally found Ezra Miller, and then now there's this meeting at Warner Brothers. What did he think was going to happen?
Because he's just on the lam. Like, what does he not think of the future at all? Like, you're still working with this studio.
And Miller's been having legal problems for 2 years. The studio's been having to kind of, I don't know if sweep it under the rug is the right phrase, but just kind of downplay it. I've heard some people complain that they feel like Warner's is almost like complicit in what he's doing, or like supporting him too much, where they're I keep forgetting about the non-binary thing, but kind of supporting Ezra Miller's bad behavior and habits and things by trying to downplay it. And I haven't read anything that suggests any evidence that they've done anything beyond just not canceling the movie and like not firing him. But some people seem to think that they're doing more than that somehow. So I don't know what all that's about, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the movie is at least delayed till next year because they said they're not doing it this year. So who knows?
There was a thing that I meant to go pick up before the show tonight, and I forgot all about it, but I got to show it to you guys. So, and I'm gonna get my hands on one if I can find one, and then I'll show it on the show. But everybody, give me just a minute with this. I need just a second so I can find this.
Hope it'll last.
Okay, I'm gonna need to go into some messages to look for this. DJ, do you see any super chats related to anything yet before we move on to some more of these extra topics for our multi-topic lead-in thing?
Nothing related to this. There's one super chat from Davis B.A. Sodenfole.
Hi there. That's not a name I recognize. Welcome.
But that is completely about a different topic. I don't know if you want to get into that yet.
I'm really just stalling at the moment while I look for this.
Mutale put in the regular chat. He wants to know, how do you plan on managing quality over quantity when it comes to the channel cap?
As well as I ever have, I guess. I like, what? Do you feel like something has changed? I guess is the question. Like, he's asked that the last couple weeks, and we haven't responded to it. But I kind of wondered just the way he did his tense there, what exactly he meant. Like, how do you plan? Like, not how are you doing it right now, but like how do you?
I think he's just making a joke about Zaslav's creed.
Do you think? Because I thought maybe it was more about the channel itself, and that I've gone to 100% live streaming, and that I'm posting a lot right now. That's kind of what I thought he was talking about. Because thinking about it, I've even been asking that before the Zaslav thing.
Oh,
I don't think it has anything to do with that.
I thought he just brought it up because we always laugh every time we bring up.
No, before the quality quote came up, I think he was actually trying to ask us that question, and we just never got to it. But I don't know, just the way I always have. I mean, for what I do, especially with something like Superhero Rewind, where there is a quantity component, right? Where there's a part of me that would love to just take my time with the thing and like actually allow myself to be a perfectionist and take 3 months if it takes 3 months. But the problem is, I said I want to review all of them, like every superhero movie ever made. And became a really in-depth thing. So I don't feel like I can, I've said this before, but I don't feel like I can go backwards with that show and start doing 10, 15-minute scripted videos again. And so in order to get them out in a timely fashion, I've had to compromise in various ways. And I've talked about a lot, like why I've taken out the stills, why it's gone to a non-scripted podcast format now. And there's lots and lots of reasons for that. I should say too, after doing a lot, like several of those now, over a dozen, I'm really, really enjoying that format and having a lot of fun interacting with people during the show while I do that. And so that's not a thing I ever thought I would do, but I've become kind of addicted to, and I've fallen in love with the streaming thing. Like, I'm real married to it at this point. I really, really enjoy it. And so there is a quantity component. People want me to talk about everything under the sun, and so you want the stuff to be good. You want to give it its fair due. You want to spend some time thinking about it. Take some notes when you can, especially with the rewind. I mean, I take copious notes. I really plan for that show. I do a lot of writing with that now, and with everything else, with just regular reviews and this show, I'm doing it every day, 5 days a week now, and so you cut corners where you have to, but you still just try to make sure that it's interesting and engaging, and keep your energy up, and spend a little bit of time planning for everything that requires that. And then some of the stuff we do is totally impromptu and off the cuff, and I mean, it's all off the cuff now, but like a reactionary. I used to be really anti-reaction videos. I still feel weird about it, but I'm a little more open to it now. We do some blind commentaries and things like that, and it's a matter of interacting with the audience and looking for interesting things, and you try not to phone it in. You try not to just sit in front of a camera and hope people watch. Like, you have to keep it engaging. Whatever you do, no dead air, which is why there's rambling.
Rambling is greater than dead air.
It helps that I've done this for so many years. Like, I don't think you could start a channel like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And expect to really have much in the way of
strong
quality if you were putting out this much quantity. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you've got a strong fan base, and you've got years and years and years of practice, so you can.
Okay, you're gonna love this.
The ropes. Oh, you found it?
Yes, because Warner's still doesn't know if they're releasing the Flash movie. They're now running up against merchandise. There are things that they've already got off the assembly line that they're not sure how to package. So check this out. Walmart is selling a kid's Halloween costume that appears to be Michael Keaton's Batman from Batgirl, and I absolutely need it. Yeah, me too. Okay, so look at that belt. We've seen that belt. We saw that on the set of Batgirl. The movie that we're never going to see now.
That's amazing.
That's the Flash suit.
That's the straight up 89 logo that they have on there.
Yeah, they're selling it like an 89 Batman costume for kids. I think that's fantastic. It is $15 at Walmart. I have to go try to find one. I really want that.
Please wear it on the show.
Well, it's too small, but I'll let one of my kids wear it for Halloween. I'll put it in the bunker down here somewhere.
That's crazy.
So, anyway, moving right along, here's another thing about Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers leak breaks down HBO Discovery's dramatically different audiences. As reported by the Daily Beast, an internal graphic revealed that HBO Max audiences are vastly different from the typical Discovery Plus user. No, really?
What?
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot. It's polar opposite, right? Like, it's young people at HBO Max with or without families, and it's old people that want to see like stories and genre stuff because it's HBO, and other Warner stuff too. But like, yeah, it started with HBO, and the nice thing about HBO Max is that a lot of the audience for HBO was also a lot of the audience for several other things that they were able to intertwine with that. So that was not the same thing as, let's try to take like a nature channel with a bunch of unscripted reality programming and mix it with everything HBO has. So like, yeah, that's elderly people. We already knew of that. Meanwhile,
Yeah, wasn't that the whole point? Is like we have these two different audiences, let's combine and like get everyone on board. Like, you'd think that would be the point.
Well, I don't know. The whole thing is weird, right? Like, you think they would know that from the beginning, but I'm skeptical that the Discovery Max merger isn't going to just be basically Discovery. There's been a lot of worry and a lot of criticism of Zaslav and Discovery on the whole, that they're kind of anti-diversity and all of that. And even that they've been, and I don't have a source for this, but I read this today. I don't know if I have an article about it here. But even that they've been, like, maybe getting rid of people, like almost covertly, because they aren't like the right gender or race or something, and like that's illegal. So I don't know about that, but like it sounds like people are complaining that the anti-diversity thing is not just about the movies and TV shows that they're greenlighting or axing. I don't know if there's any truth to that, which is why I'm hesitating and hemming and hawing a little bit, but that has been a rumor as well.
Wow.
Meanwhile, initial layoff rounds have faced criticism for disproportionately removing diversity from their executive and management staff. Oh, this is the article. This is where I came up with that. So how does that work? That's illegal.
Yeah.
Isn't that, wait, what's the word? What do you call it? Discrimination? Right?
Pretty much. Sounds like it.
I don't understand that. The document shows that HBO skews towards a racially diverse demographic, primarily consisting of single people and, get this, those who drive fuel-efficient hybrid vehicles.
No, can't stand those people.
That's really specific, and what does that have to do with anything?
I don't know.
Are we just really
they're
concerned
just environmentally conscious people on HBO Max?
Yeah, like, what... I mean, is the idea that if they drive hybrids or not, it tells you about, like, 50 other things they're more or less likely to buy? Like, is it a...
Well, I think it was as opposed to the Discovery crowd, which was driving, like, SUVs and minivans, is what the article said.
Well, yes.
Because they're old people with kids.
Yeah. And I was about to get to that, but I'm just not sure, like, what that has to do with anything. And how you get to that. Like... What does the poll look like that you take? You know what I mean? Or the survey. What does the survey look like? Like, what kind of car do you drive?
I would love to get my hands on this survey. We could do it on the show.
That would be great. Is it a profiling thing? Or are we going, if they drive a hybrid car, they're probably also vegan? Like, is that what we're doing? And then we can't sell them meat? Like, I don't know. And of course, I get that as far as the streaming service thing goes, it's not backed by commercials anyway. Netflix is about to be to some degree. We're gonna deal with that here in a minute. But
that's finally happened. Hell has frozen over.
But I just don't know what the point is of that. Anyway, this is outside of my wheelhouse. Conversely, and these users also HBO Max also more actively use social media, primarily TikTok and Instagram. Again, gee, you think? Conversely, the social media typically used by Discovery Plus viewers are Facebook and Twitter, if they're using social media at all. And, this did not mention the minivans and all of that, which I saw in a different article. But anyway, I bring that up because I think it's really funny.
Wait a second. The old people are using the old social media, and the young people are using the newer social medias?
How much money did they waste finding out something that I knew without taking a survey?
Yeah, it seems like a really fruitless endeavor that they were working on with that survey.
Doesn't it, though? Okay, DJ, do you see any super chats right now about anything we've been talking about before I get to just a couple more of these? And then we can move on to whatever people want to chat about.
We still just have the one super chat from the new viewer about superheroes, but it's completely unrelated.
Okay, well, we'll get to that right after this then. We'll just do a couple more of these real quick. Controversial Netflix ad-supported tier pricing seemingly confirmed by report. So the long and short of this, and by the way, this is a thing that I think Netflix needed to implement about 3 years ago. And however I might feel about the pricing and how exactly they're handling this, it's too little too late, but they needed this earlier on when it was becoming pretty apparent that their business model was not sustainable in the long term. According to Bloomberg, Netflix's new ad-supported tier will cost somewhere between $7 and $9 a month. Netflix's most popular ad-free plan currently retails for $15.49 a month, so the new tier is almost half the price. And yeah, but that was way too expensive in the first place, and a lot of people jumped ship over it. So I don't know how much this is ultimately going to help them. Like I said, this needed to happen a lot earlier. When Hulu did it, they should have done it a week later. And I'm saying that in hindsight, of course.
Yeah, but you need to like put the cart before the horse there. Like you got to provide an option for people to stay on so they don't all jump ship, like you said, when you crank the price up. Like, why would they?
At the very least, they should have implemented this when they cranked the price up.
Yeah, they must have just been holding out hope that they could survive without ads. Like, that was always the thing they said. They never wanted to do ads.
They said they were never going to do it. Yep.
But now you're about to go out of business, so might as well try it.
Okay, one more of these real quick. The CW will continue to do its signature genre shows and team soaps, although not as many. The network plans to broaden its slate by adding procedurals, half-hour comedies, multi-camera sitcoms, and other older skewing dramas. Okay, are you seeing a pattern emerging here, DJ? You look at what CW is talking about doing as they're being bought out, or at least their debt is being bought out by another company, and you're seeing what Discovery is doing as they're merging with Warner Brothers. Traditional media is dying, and younger people do not care about mainstream or most mainstream entertainment, besides like the few blockbusters they might go to a year and some, cinephiles that watch a lot of movies. But like, the kids these days are looking at the Twitches and the YouTubes and that stuff, and so like what counts as mainstream is really up in the air and shifting and very obscured, and so in desperation, these networks and studios are aiming everything at the people that are still there watching that stuff, and they're getting older and older. So, like, of course that's happening. I think it's preposterous that CW isn't dropping all of their old kind of programming if they're going for an older demographic. It seems like they're going to split their viewership. And when you have 5 people watching, you don't want to split down the middle and have 2.5 on each side.
I just want to know what teen soaps that are going to carry on and what new ones we'll get.
Well, I wonder if they're going to have the rights to anything they currently have. That's been my question all along.
Gotham Knights, whatever that show's called, is that still happening?
Is that still happening?
Why not?
I don't know. But it's crazy to think that they still need some of that stuff. Like, the list of types of shows that they just listed is like, well, yeah, that's what the CW was in the mid-2000s. Like, we kind of made the assumption that, and that's what it was looking like with the original reporting, that with the buyout, they were going to do kind of like Discovery, a lot more, and like maybe no scripted stuff, and mostly reality TV and stuff like that. And we also, remember the list we looked at of the top programming on the CW, which still wasn't even reaching 1 million viewers, but was a lot closer than everything else. And it was all reality stuff. It was all unscripted. It was, 2 of them were magic shows. The top 2 shows at the CW were magic shows. In 2022, when that's what the majority of your viewership is watching, it's time to close down. It's time to leave. It's time to allow someone to buy your debt. Absolutely.
TY says, I don't think WBD can cancel the Gotham Knights TV show unilaterally.
Well, see, I just don't understand this buyout. That's the big thing with me, because it's not a merger. Like, as far as I understood it, they were like taking it from Warner Brothers wholesale. Like, Warner's would no longer be involved at all with the CW, if I'm understanding it right. Maybe I'm not understanding it right. But, like, they can do Batman stuff because it's Warner Brothers and Warner owns Batman. So, like, why would... Like, sure, contracts and things, but you'd think that all of that would become kind of null and void once you didn't have the rights to it anymore. Unless there was unless because of certain contracts, it was like, we can... Maybe this is what it is. We can continue making this until, you know, like X year, and then we no longer have the rights to produce the show because we don't own the rights to that material. This is all complex and, again, outside of my wheelhouse. I'm not an expert when it comes to, like, you know, Hollywood and TV contracts and intellectual property rights and stuff like that.
Senior Nerd says, never underestimate Penn and Teller fan base.
Well, and I mean, I love Penn and Teller, but it's really funny that's and still not even 1 million viewers.
I do too, but man, their scene in Fantasia 2000 is awkward. All of the hosts in Fantasia 2000. That was a mistake. I forgot
they were in that. Yeah,
it was a big mistake to do like multiple hosts and just get the director to do it, because it was so cringy.
I forgot just rewatched they did that. That is a hit and miss movie.
Oh yeah. Some beautiful shorts. The last one with the Firebird is amazing, but some of them are not great.
Yeah, I like the jazz one on the construction site. That one's really good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And it was a really bizarre choice with the Donald Duck to the commencement song.
Noah's Ark.
It's okay.
Yeah, it looks good.
It kind of works. I sort of like the idea of, like, appropriating a song that was not originally written for what it's being used for now, what it actually kind of got appropriated for, and then go, well, yeah, it could be for other things. Like, I don't think that song was written to be the song that's played at every graduation ever.
No, that's what he says at the beginning. He says, like, yeah, when you hear it now, you think of graduation, but he intended it for better things. And that kind of a callback to the original Fantasia, where they use the Nutcracker song before the Nutcracker play got really, really popular.
Yeah.
They weren't even thinking about it, like, related to that.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, anyway, DJ, why don't we go ahead and move on? We'll tackle that super chat, and
sure.
if you guys want to keep the show running, please leave some questions and give us ideas for things to chat about, either in super chat or regular comments. We are about 15 minutes from the hour, and if we don't see any other super chats, we'll call kind of last call for super chats at around the hour, but you guys can keep it going up to 2 hours if you are so inclined. Also, we still have t-shirts if you want to buy one, and we have really cool other swag in case you haven't gotten the memo yet. I'll mention this real quick. TeePublic is the website that we're affiliated with now, and you can click the link in the description. Hey, look, I got a Superhero Rewind pillow, and it's really high quality. And it says, I'll grab it real quick so you guys can see it.
Superhero Rewind unscripted pillow. Look at that. Hot off the presses.
And check it out. It has the logo on both sides.
Oh,
look, there's heroes on both sides.
TeePublic prioritizes quality over quantity, guys.
They really do. But you can get a pretty massive quantity of things there as well. It's crazy all the stuff that you can put our logos on if you were so inclined. I'm thinking about eventually maybe even getting, I don't know, I'm going to end up with too much of my own logos on everything I own. So I got to be careful about that. I mean, like, it's already on my arm, you know, and then but you can get it you can get a phone case.
Oh, nice.
Which is cool. So I've considered maybe doing that.
And top super chatter of the evening gets a slumber party with Cap.
Don't say that. Oh, by the way, TY is in the comments. He actually won the super chat goal contest thing last show, and I never heard from him. So TY, go to the community tab. I put my email address in there for you because we forgot to announce it at the end of last show, and I'm really sorry about that. But I still owe you a phone conversation if you are interested. If you don't want to talk to me, I will cry before I go to sleep tonight and probably lose sleep over it, but you don't have to.
His pillow.
Yeah. TY wants to give me money but not talk to me.
Hey, now that you have a branded pillow, we should do like a weekly pillow scream. Yeah, the word, if the news gets too upsetting, you just
What
scream
a
into your new pillow.
what a good idea. What article today is nuts was nuts enough that we I know what it is. I know what it is. Are you ready? Are you ready? So we'll practice this for next time. Are you ready?
Okay.
Godzilla and Dune Studio looking to ditch Warner Brothers after release debate. I don't think that muted that scream enough.
It wasn't as loud as that stupid ship you got blaring into your microphone a couple
Oh, I'm gonna go
ago.
get that again. Yeah, I've still got to make that ASMR channel video, the one video.
John
And
Kelling
then-
says DJ announcing things, just another Tuesday in Central City.
It is, and you'll get even another dose of that on Thursday, I'm sure. Hold on, I gotta fix my background because we don't have like the night cityscape behind our talk show set yet. So I gotta go put this back in the background again. Hold on.
Pierce will get on that soon. We'll get that cityscape put right behind you. All black tonight, looking sleek there, Cap.
But yes, TY, so Community tab, I put a post there just after the show to try to get in contact with you because YouTube does not have an easy way to get in contact with viewers. You can't just go click their names and send them a message anymore. And a lot of you guys probably don't even remember when you could do that because I'm an old person and I've been here a long time. But DJ, when I started this back in 2009, YouTube, just like Facebook and Twitter and most social media sites, do you remember this? Do you know about this? You used to have an inbox.
So, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. You
Like-
used to be able to, because I remember you would just talk in videos about like, this person messaged me or asked me this question or something. It used to be much easier.
That is one of the things I hate that we got rid of, along with video responses. I miss that too. But the inbox I really miss. There are people that I worked with years ago, and maybe some people that I still am in contact with, that I would never have been in contact with if, like, I never would have been able to get a hold of if we didn't have that inbox. Because there were people that was the only way you could get a hold of them, that didn't have a Facebook or a Twitter or anything. And so, or that you didn't know their name outside of YouTube, so there would have been no way to contact them.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a thing I miss.
How are you going to contact that guy? Who the heck is he?
Yeah. But TY also, and for everybody's information, for business inquiries or anything else, and please don't flood my inbox, but I do have my email address listed in the description on YouTube if anybody ever does need to get a hold of me for something. If I get 30 messages from you a day, I will block you, and please don't take that personally. But anyway, DJ, let's continue. I've never blocked a person on email anyway.
Ooh, the dirt. Okay, I'm going to ask you the super chat, and I have to run and take care of something really quick, so I'm going to ask this to you.
Oh, goodness. All right.
No worries. Davis.
I can't do this without you. We're just gonna play the lead-in music again. I can't.
I'll be back.
I can't do
hopefully.
it. I can't deal with it.
Davis B.A. Soddenful, $4.99. What is the key to success when it comes to non-Marvel/DC superhero universes? How can they stand out and stay relevant against the big two?
Yeah, that's tough. That's a really cool question, and hopefully DJ can get back before we finish talking about it, because I'd like to get his thoughts on this as well. I'm glad that the question continued and it wasn't just, what is the key to success? I couldn't tell you. And I mean, that's all relative. This might be too. Are we talking just movies and TV and stuff, like extra media, or are we talking also with comics? Because the comic thing is a real tough egg to crack, and I guess it is with extra media as well. But particularly with comics, a lot of people, I think even to this day, tend to watch, or tend to go to where they feel safe and what they're used to and what they're invested in, and so it's just mainstream superheroes at the big two. That has changed a lot in the last decade, but I think there's still some of that goes on. The difficulty with all of this, be it in comics or extra media, is when you're talking about superhero stuff, not looking too derivative and not just being Batman again, Superman again, unless the point is to satirize those things. And a lot of the breakout superhero properties that aren't big two have been things that satirize that stuff, because those are the characters people were interested in the first place. Like, oh, new takes on Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, etc., etc. So you have that with things like The Boys and Invincible, and in comics, Supreme Power, and all kinds of other stuff. But I think. But like that's oversaturated now too. Like there's a ton of it. So I don't think there's a magic bullet when it comes to coming up with a new superhero that people will consider iconic and that will stand the test of time and that can compete with the big two and the things that people are already familiar with. I think it's just a matter of taking risks and, again, not being doing your best to not be too derivative, and trying something that hasn't been done to death, but also not looking generic. It's really difficult. There's not much, DJ, that is as oversaturated as superheroes. Like me as the giant superhero fan I am, it's hard not to. I'm not burnt out on superheroes, but it is hard to sometimes feel like the whole thing's not played out, even when I see things that change my mind about that. You know what I mean? Because every time I see something that feels really fresh and new, I go, okay, but this is the end of it, right? Like, if nobody had done that in decades and decades of superhero stuff, we find, and it's just a matter of, with any kind of genre, of making the old new again, making it fresh again, and the way you do that is having your own spin on it, rather than trying to find that magic bullet, rather than going, what are people after today? Because if it speaks to you now, and you found something with a superhero idea that you have that you don't feel like you've seen before, just because, like, you're not filling in a gap for other people, you're filling a gap for yourself. You go, what do I want to see that I can't see now? What's underserved? Like, you should handle it the same way you handle opening a business. What's underserved? What's a thing I can't go out and buy right now, in my area or whatever? There are going to be other people that probably are missing that too, where it's a gap for them as well. And even if you can't really put your finger on what exactly that is, where you just go, this is my take on this thing. So, like, yes, maybe I'm creating a hero that is quite a bit like, a Captain America or something, but, and you've seen this before, and it's very familiar, but there's something about it that is, that's kind of a spin, kind of a twist, where and not in a gimmicky way, but just, I never thought about it like that before. That's how, because fiction itself, if you just think about it in terms of basic raw concept, is all played out, and has been, with a lot of things, for like hundreds of years. This isn't new. This isn't the 20th, 21st century. It's just a matter of an author putting a spin on a thing and having a new take on something.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just speaking from, personal experience with your own voice. Like, look at anything Kirkman has ever done. It's like, you look at Walking Dead, there's a lot of familiar there, but it's Kirkman's zombie thing. Invincible, it's Kirkman's superhero thing. There's a lot to learn from that guy because of how derivative his stuff is and how completely fresh and not at all derivative it all feels.
Yeah, that's insane that he was able to make a zombie thing as popular as it was.
Yeah.
That late in the game.
How played out did that feel?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, and then his show was huge still. It's crazy.
And
not his show, but
before that, I'd say Whedon kind of did the same thing with vampires too, with Buffy. In '97, that felt pretty played out, at least in literature.
Yeah, and I mean, sad to say, but so did Stephanie Meyer in the mid 2000s. But then it simultaneously made it super popular and then killed it forever.
So
Who
DJ,
does vampires anymore?
since I'm not seeing any more super chats, I'm going to go to a couple of other articles that I was going to maybe save for Thursday that we didn't get to. Star Trek
sure.
4 director Matt Shakman exits project following Fantastic Four report. The filmmaker has, this is GamesRadar.com, the filmmaker has pulled out of the long-awaited sequel due to scheduling conflicts, which is not surprising, and as soon as he was announced for Fantastic Four, I'm sure a lot of people were like, okay, well, he's probably not doing Star Trek now. Austin messaged me immediately and was like, well, that project's not happening now, right? And I'm like, I don't think we can be sure of that. Because he said, well, it's been in development hell forever. But here's the thing. Prior to the commitment, the initial commitment from that director, you didn't even have most of the cast on board for it, and apparently they've got their contracts back in line again, and everybody's supposed to be coming back for it. So they're a lot further along in getting that project off the ground. This seems to me like a situation, and it feels like they've been dragging their feet. It's been a while, but this happened with Star Trek Beyond also. Like, when that project was greenlit, it was a while before we heard anything. Like, Justin Lin is attached, he's directing, and then it was a while, and then, okay, it looks like this thing is actually being made. Or maybe it was like, we didn't know who was directing it for a while, and then Lin, and then it started, really getting rolling. I can't remember now because it's been so long. But this does feel like that situation where, I mean, remember how long after Darkness Beyond finally came out? And of course, this is going to be even a lot longer than that. It's already been 6 years, if you can believe that. Yeah.
It's so weird to do a fourth movie. Like, it's not long enough to do the fourth movie, like, revival, but it seems way too long to do a fourth movie to just, like, a normal sequel to the third one. 7 or 8 years.
It feels like a long time for a Star Trek franchise. I mean, there's the occasional rare franchise that gets together every few years with a long wait in between, almost like the cast and crew just want to do a reunion thing. Men in Black was like that. Like, there was always 7 or 8 years in between Men in Black movies, and we have 3 of them, and then one that I don't even want to acknowledge its existence. But those movies have always had a lot of years in between. But you're right. For something like Star Trek, you want to strike while the iron's hot, and they didn't do that, and that's part of why that franchise wasn't successful, and yet they are, I mean, everything is so counterintuitive with Star Trek over at Paramount, and now that Paramount and what's the studio? CBS, right? CBS All Access, Paramount, yes. Now that they're back under one roof again, it does not surprise me that they're still doing these crazy counterintuitive things where they put out shows that nobody seems to be watching, but they act like they're successful, and then they dupe people into thinking they're successful, it feels like, or maybe they're more successful than I think they are because the numbers don't come out. I can't figure out what's going on over there. So, but with the way they do business, at least from my perception of it, it does not seem surprising that they've been trying for so long to get a sequel to a movie that nobody went to, even though I really liked it, off the ground. Where it's like, well, Star Trek really needs to be in the movie theater. That's where the money is. Well, yeah, that's where it was, but your last one bombed. And like with this cast, and it's been 6 years, and Darkness didn't do what it should have because they waited too long to get that movie out. And then nobody liked that movie, or at least a lot of people didn't like that movie. And so Beyond failed because they took too long on that, and people didn't like the last one, It's sort of like an Insurrection Nemesis situation where, like, that movie bombed and wasn't good, and the Nemesis came out, and shocker, nobody saw that. And that's kind of what happened with Beyond. Nemesis could have been great, like I think Beyond was, and still not performed. But once again, I kind of digress. When I say this, because I see this as more of a Marvel thing, where it's like, here's a project that looks like it's probably gonna get off the ground, and they just need another director for it now. Like, as much as people like Shakman for, and he's got a cool name, Shakman. He needs a video game called Shakman Fu. Shakman. People like for some TV work. He did some of WandaVision, I think. I don't know his catalog, but still kind of a workman director choice. And like maybe he's got a style, maybe he's great, but like they're probably not going to shelve that and cancel it now just because the director they wanted left. Like Justin Lin was kind of a workman choice, and then it turned out to be great. I wish they could bring him back, and I feel nuts that I'm saying that now, because back then I was, oh no, we went to the Fast and Furious guy for Star Trek. That sucks. Turns out the guy really understood Star Trek and made it look like a really loving homage, but not too fan servicey to the the Meyer movies, and that was great. So I wish we'd bring him back, and even over Abrams, who I just kind of wish would quit Hollywood entirely at this point.
He kind of has. He hasn't done anything in forever.
Yeah, he's supposedly developing DC projects, but looked like some of that stuff was already kind of going away and not happening even before Zaslav. So I don't know, but
wow, oh my gosh,
what's that?
Matt Shakman. I know Matt Shakman. I was just hearing about him on the Always Sunny podcast. They were talking about how he directed all of season 5 for them. Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and they're like, now we can't get him back on the show because he's gone on to direct Game of Thrones and all of WandaVision and all this stuff. So he's been on the rise.
Oh, he did all of WandaVision? That's cool.
Yeah, he's been directing a lot.
Well, then never mind. He's got a style, or he's versatile, because he's got to do a whole bunch of different styles for that show. And it makes sense that they got him for that if he did a sitcom.
Yeah. Always Sunny in Philadelphia, The Great, which is a Hulu show, the Game of Thrones, WandaVision. He's done all kinds of stuff. That's crazy. Succession, The Boys.
But I read that he'd done some episodes of The Boys. But I wanted to mention real quick before we move on that this is not wishful thinking from me when I say that they'll probably move on with this project, because I don't want a Star Trek 4. Beyond was really good, and I want to get past this franchise, and I want Star Trek to be completely rebooted at this point, because it's, in my mind, all screwed now, even though I like Strange New Worlds more than I've liked any of the rest of it. Like, there's Star Trek continuity is screwed. It's done. It's in a worse place than Star Wars, if that's even possible. And it's weird to say that, like, the least convoluted thing you can do now is to continue to build in the Abrams rebooted continuity because you only had 3 movies. But I still don't want that. Like, I don't need any more of that. I don't need to see Pine play Kirk one more time or whatever. Like, if it comes out, I hope it's good and I'll see it. But I don't have an investment in that. I'm not excited about it.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not time travel like it was originally supposed to be. Because we need to not make all of these just, parallels or mirrors to the other movies, Like, you had Star Trek the Motion Picture, so then you had Star Trek, and those are different things. I will say they weren't really looking at motion picture too much. You know why? Because people think it's long and boring, and, like, what are you going to do, V'ger again? Like, what are you going to do from that? But then, so Darkness was Wrath of Khan again, and then Star Trek 3 Beyond, which I like a lot. They have a huge, like, destroy the Enterprise sequence at the beginning. I can't remember if the ship is actually destroyed, but they kind of did that whole thing.
Wow.
So I need Star Trek 4 to not be a time travel movie, and I need it to especially not go to present day. Because Star Trek 4 was go back to the 80s to save the whales. We need it to not be that. And I love Star Trek 4, but we need this Star Trek 4 to not be that.
No, but they do need to incorporate whales in some way.
I'd be okay with that.
How long before they make, like, Star Trek Discovery the motion picture? Like, when are they going to start making films for that, for their new stuff?
There's been talk about it. And obviously I hope that doesn't happen. That might be the first Star Trek movie I don't go see.
Hey, you said you were going to not go see the next Thor movie with me, but you chickened out.
I did. Yeah, I really did. One more article real quick, guys. Which streaming service will save Batman Caped Crusader? Now, do you remember what I said, DJ? Who I thought would get it?
You wanted Hulu, I believe.
I want Hulu, but I also think that Hulu is kind of the most likely candidate because of other things they have. Like I said before, because they have Animaniacs and they're getting Tiny Toons, if that still goes forward. But apparently, Apple.
Sorry, that image.
It's a really funny image. Yeah, Apple Max. Or I say Max. Max is getting rid of it, obviously, but Apple, Netflix, and Hulu are all going after it. I don't see Apple outbidding those two. Even Netflix being in the shape that they're in, I don't see Apple going as far as Netflix is likely to. because Netflix has bid too much on Batman projects before. Although that might be a reason that they chicken out.
Yeah, I don't think they have any money. I mean, I could see Apple has all the money in the world. It's basically divided between Apple, Disney, and Amazon. So I could see them bidding enough, but I think it would be a better fit for Hulu, obviously.
Then this one is wishful thinking. I just need Apple not to get that because I don't want to subscribe to that service. That's
Yeah. Yeah, I get it free all the time. Like I got it free when I got a new phone, and then all of a sudden T-Mobile's just like, hey, get a free year of Apple TV Plus. So I've just always had it, and I've never paid for it. But yeah, that'd be weird to have a Batman. I mean, that seems weird.
in that odd. But I could see them outbidding everybody else because if that show is good, they would get a huge ramp up in subscriber base.
Yeah. For sure.
It'd be crazy if an animated show like that, and not really an adult one or like as adult of one. Like Invincible is sort of a different animal, but wouldn't it be crazy if like a spiritual successor to Batman the Animated Series, if that is indeed what that is, was the thing that put a streaming service on the map that a lot of people kind of ignore? It'd be really interesting.
Yeah, that's their problem. I mean, it's a pretty good streaming service. They just don't have enough IP. I mean, they're trying. They're getting all these actors to come in. They got Tom Hanks to do an original movie, and they're getting Steve Carell to do all the.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
TV show. Yeah, he did a science fiction movie about him on a planet with a robot. That was nominated last year.
Robert Wild. Let's not forget how much money Apple has. No, I know that, but I would think that the other two being bigger streaming services would probably throw money at it that they may or may not have given what it is, and Apple would finally go, okay, fine, if you want it that much, you know what I mean? But maybe not. Maybe that would be a reason for them to go real high. Like, well, we actually have the money to buy this, and might as well help the Netflix ship to sink farther. Could they
don't need help over there.
Could Apple turn into more of a player after the dust settles with what's happening? I've not thought of this. After what's happened with Discovery and HBO Max, and with Netflix losing so much market share, and
yeah, I don't know how much
the crazy stock drops.
Buying up already existing properties Apple's doing. I feel like they're mostly pushing brand new stuff. So they would have to get into that game that Netflix has where they're buying already content. I know they got like the Peanuts on there and stuff like that, and Fraggle Rock, but all of their like already existing content seemed to be related to stuff that they were doing new stuff for. So it was like they got it as a package deal or something. So I don't know.
Don't you think it's possible, though, that they could just be simply more visible when some of these other services crash and burn?
Yeah, definitely possible.
Because I think if
Gotta change their name, though. Stupid.
Yeah, it's not good. And that's maybe part of the problem with them. But the problem with Apple Plus versus, and I'm sick of the Plus thing, but
even if it was Apple Plus, it'd be fine. But the fact that they call it Apple TV Plus when nobody uses Apple TV is so weird.
That's a good point too. I was gonna say maybe you won't agree with this. The problem with Apple Plus is it doesn't sound like a streaming service. It doesn't sound like a media streaming service because you don't think TV and movies when you think about Apple.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm 100% sure that's why they call it Apple TV Plus instead of just Apple Plus, because then nobody would know what it is.
I don't think that helps. I didn't know. I didn't know TV was in it.
Yeah, I'm just saying they're trying their best to get people to think of them as a media company. But yeah, Apple Plus sounds like Apple Care, like when your phone breaks and you call them.
Yeah, exactly. But like HBO Max was confusing to people, and they've kind of weathered that storm okay, which is oddly ironic given that they're about to give up that name, and who knows how much of the content they have they're even going to hang on to. Isn't that funny? Like when they first became HBO Max, I think you and I both kind of agreed that like it was confusing branding, and then now they're going to lose that. And they finally made everybody understand what they are.
Well, once they go by whatever, HB Discoveros, like, how could we even mash those two names up? Discovery Max? No, because you got to have HBO in there.
Can I be honest with you? I could see them doing that. I could see them calling it Discovery Max.
Discovery Max.
Even taking HBO out of it. Just like, well, people have gotten used to Max being part of the name for the Warner Brothers streaming service, so they'll know that that's Warner Brothers because Max has become synonymous with that. I could see that.
Oh, Max.
Man, I might even put money down on that name, because I've been wondering what they're going to call it. I've been jokingly saying they're going to merge the two streaming services, HBO Max and Discovery Plus, and become Discovery Plus, and I still think there's the possibility of that is there. But, like, I'm joking when I say that. I also think it's possible.
Bob Garland says HBO Discovery, yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't even looking at the screen when you said that. It just came to me, and I guess we both thought of it at the same time, yeah. Robert Wild, as big as Disney Plus is, it still isn't even technically profitable yet. Disney does not have the money to buy a company like Warner Brothers or Discovery right now. I've been hearing a lot of people say, and I haven't looked deeply enough into this, that no streaming service is actually profitable right now. And if that's the case, there's not money in television, really. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, there is and there's not, right? Like it seems like networks, regular broadcast networks are struggling. Hollywood movies are struggling especially because of what happened with COVID and trying to catch up now with all the money that every studio lost, not being able to get their movies out when they were supposed to. And I don't know why Son of Atlas is just writing letters in the chat right now.
I think I need to block him.
Oh, okay. I'll do it. I got it.
Okay.
Sorry, Son of Atlas, but you can't do things like that. I gotta put my captainy little foot down.
That's not okay, guy. We're trying to talk about geeky stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you this real quick, because I had this conversation with my wife the other day, and I said, it's starting to look to me suspiciously like what happened with music. Where we're and with books, where we're in a place where people just don't want to pay for media in general. Like, people are getting really used to having things like, because they don't have to own them, because so much stuff is digital and they're okay with looking at things digitally, they don't want to have to pay for them. Like,
although it's very, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh no! I'm being long-winded. Like people are okay with, to some degree, like, subscriptions, but they don't want to go too far with, like, how many they have to pay for and how expensive that bill gets. But, like, do we get to a place where there just isn't really the money there used to be in this in general, and then you get to a place where, like, you know, TV and movie stars are not the big, like, you know, powerhouse multimillionaires they used to be? Like, I wonder about this.
Well, that would be a good thing. but yeah, I don't want entertainment to go away. I love it. It's our livelihood, man. Like,
I'm not saying I think it'll go away. I just think that the models will change and that there might not be as much money in it for individuals that there has been in the past. That, like, it might be more people in it that are all making less, you know?
It's so interesting to me how much more money the book industry is making than the movie industry. Like, the book, I can't go anywhere without seeing books everywhere. Like, Barnes and Noble's doing fine. Like, they don't sell movies anywhere. My Target has an end cap. That's all they have for movies now, and they've got, like, 6 aisles of books in, like, multiple different places in the store. And I've seen that, like, I'm in a lot of movie groups on Facebook, and everyone's posting all their Target pictures of, like, no movies. There's, like, an end cap and maybe, like, a side of an aisle, and there's, like, they don't carry movies anymore. They're doing all these remodels in all the Targets around here in the city, and, like, books have all overtaken the movies. And there's, like, no movies anymore.
Well, and that becomes a different topic, of course, about what's happening with physical media. But yeah, I'm suspicious of that. I don't know what that means, as far as the book thing, because I don't think the book industry is doing that much better than it has in the last. I mean, like, I keep hearing about how much trouble the publishing industry is in. Also, it's kind of surprising. So I don't know why books are overtaking movies in Targets and stuff, but I mean, like, it's not like bookstores are coming back, you know? So, like, I don't really understand that part of it, but it's surprising to me that the physical, because I know that you're a big physical movie collector, but I mean, there hasn't been anything like as much demand for that, and most people have quit buying movies for like 15 years or more. And so it's kind of surprising to me that that didn't happen earlier. Like, there's been I've said this a bunch of times, there's been a 90% drop in DVD and Blu-ray and 4K, et cetera, sales since, like, '03. And so, like, I don't know how they kept those sections as large as they did for as long as they did, honestly. But I can't explain the book thing. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's just a bummer because I've had to go like pretty much exclusively online to buy physical media these days. I mean,
Yeah.
even my Best Buy has like one aisle of movies. Like even Best Buy's not prioritizing it that much anymore.
You know, I had this thought today, DJ. You know how a normal person... No.
Goes to Target, looks for movies, is disappointed.
Yeah,
To go
that's
home.
not a normal person. That's me and DJ. No. No, I'm with you. I'm bummed out about it, too. I've kind of stopped buying superhero movies brand new because when they come out, they stay more expensive for longer than they used to, even when they're not good movies that anybody cares about. And I know I can go online and get them for cheaper. So, like, I always enjoyed the physical hunt with that, but that stopped being fun. So I'm probably going to start just ordering stuff online and bite the bullet and do it that way. But no, I had this thought today. If you were in, it would take the right area, and I don't know what the area is, but when you look at the fact that there are no video rental stores left anywhere, and the last chain that survived and still had very few stores, but Family Video, their final stores, the few stores they had left are finally all closing. And I wonder, is it possible if you were an industrious person that had the money to do it, if you were the only game in town in a, like, 1,000-mile radius, that you could do okay with a video rental store right now, even though they all folded, as, like, a mom-and-pop independent person? Could you open one in a city and do okay just because you have no competition? I wonder about it.
Well, coming 2024, Geekvolution Studios is opening a video store in... Where the heck are you? I almost said Lenexa, Kansas, but you haven't been there in a while.
Yeah. No, I do live in Lenexa, Kansas.
Oh, you are in Lenexa, Kansas. Okay.
Well, I live right on the line between Lenexa and Shawnee, and we still don't know officially what city we live in, because if you put Shawnee or Lenexa in our mailing address, mail comes to us, and if you look it up on various map sites, some of them say Shawnee and some of them say Lenexa. I think technically it's Shawnee, but we're so on the line, we kind of live in both cities.
That's so weird.
Isn't that crazy? It's just suburbs of Kansas City.
I don't know if
we're right next to Overland Park. We're real close to Olathe.
I think you could get business maybe, but I don't know if you could convince anyone to sell you movies.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, who's going to take a chance on a mom and pop video store at this point?
Well, here's the thing, though. If you're a mom and pop video store, I don't know how important it would be, because you'd be selling a lot of your clientele, right? Would be. I'll say this first. A lot of your clientele would be older people stuck in their ways that either don't want to stream or have become kind of disenfranchised with the whole streaming thing because of how many services there are, and how getting everything they might want gets to a cable subscription money-wise at some point, right? And it would be people who were a little older, kind of, or a little younger than that, but still kind of middle-aged, like me, people in their, like, mid-30s to mid-40s, and maybe a little older, that are nostalgic for video stores and miss going to those. Both of those groups would not require new. Like, your store should all be vintage and retro. Like, I don't think you'd have to worry about people selling you anything, because you just go buy in bulk. Like you could find cheap DVDs and Blu-rays all day long, and you could build a library. So when you say, like, who would sell you movies, that's only a concern if you have to buy brand new and you're afraid you're not going to get your money back because you have to pay $20 or $30 per disc. But you wouldn't necessarily have to do that if you're buying in bulk, which you could do. Yeah. Especially if you could get anybody to rent DVDs. At the point where everybody's coming in looking for 4K, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
But I don't know that would happen. But I
feel
also
like,
don't know that people would rent from you. They'd probably be more likely to just buy.
yeah, I also feel like the entertainment, I don't think it's just streaming. Well, streaming is a huge part of it, but not streaming itself can kill movie stores, but what streaming created, which it created like such a diversity in content. So like your movie store, you'd have to like pick an audience almost because you couldn't please everyone. Like you said, you couldn't have the guys coming in looking for 4K or the people coming in looking for old movies. There's just so much stuff these days.
But couldn't you make I mean, this would be really niche. But couldn't you make the whole thing a throwback store where you stop at a certain date? Do you see what I'm saying? Like you could be, I'm going to open a store that looks authentic. We're spending too much time on this. That looks like authentic spitting image mid 90s like mom and pop video store. So you're not trying to look like Blockbuster. You're trying to look like the mom and pop guy that was competing with Blockbuster. I went to those stores. I know what that looks like. And you wouldn't be VHS because that would be silly. Like not enough people have VHS players. It would be fun to have a section, but okay, let me throw this at you. You know what you could do though that actually might be viable. And I guess I'm going to throw this business model out. I should keep it because I'm not going to do this. I don't actually want to sit in a store anymore, and I've had my fill of that. But at one time, I had the ambition to DJ to open some sort of a store. Brandon has for years been trying to get me to open a store called Superhero Rewind. But anyway, which is a great name for a store, awesome. But it's very, very niche. But you know what you could do? What if you had a movie store that looked like a rental store but didn't rent videos? Or that like a vintage stock or something, you could rent if you wanted to, but everything was for purchase. Because we have a chain here called Vintage Stock, and they're Midwest, but I think they're kind of all over the country, and they different names in different places. But they do that where like their movies are all for sale, but and games, but you actually can rent them if you want to. You can have a place like that. Interesting. Yeah. Well, you could rent things for cheap and then try them out, and then if you really like them, you come back and you buy them. And I think maybe at a discount.
That's pretty cool.
That could work. I mean, like nostalgia places sometimes do pretty well.
Yeah, it'd be hard to know how long you could ride that nostalgia train, though. It'd be risky.
Oh, it'd be insanely risky. No, it's a really stupid idea, but what if it worked?
Yeah, but we're not going to try it, so.
No. You could maybe make it, you could maybe do it with like a coffee shop or something.
Yeah. Superhero Rewind, the coffee shop, coming soon.
TY put in a super chat a while ago.
Yes, he did. Shall I read it, or do you have it?
No, I mean, you have nothing better to do. Go ahead.
I don't. I'm just talking to you. $1.99 from TY. Your top fave Batman comic stories in no order. What's up? Made it a little easier for you. No order.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So it's hard to do this without just saying things I've said 1,000 times because it's supposed to be my favorites. I guess you said comic stories, right? Okay, so No Man's Land obviously is in there. Nightfall is in there, at least the Nightfall portion. I've not read everything with Night Quest and Night's End, but just Nightfall even by itself, I would definitely throw in there. And then, boy, there's so many contenders. I'm always afraid of losing something. I think Year One probably has to go in there. And then, at the moment I would put White Knight there. Because I really, really liked that. But I'm sure there's some classic thing that I'm not thinking of that would end up beating that out. And then, but I'll just give you 5 at the moment off the top of my head, and then I'll round it out with Batman Noel. That is not a definitive list. There are 5 Batman stories I really like that when people name some other things, like, Batman, how did you not say this, Cap? I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, well, there's that.
That's it. That's the definitive list. You can take that to the bank, cut it, Jason, and put it in the next video on the channel.
Robert Wild. I may or may not be stealing Cap's idea. Hey, I just want my name in the name of it.
In the credits, yeah. Captain Logan's Superhero Rewind.
Yeah, just put Superhero Rewind in it, or well, actually, you probably have to pay me royalties if you use that, but.
All right, I will jump back to some pre-writtens.
Absolutely. So, last call for Super Chats. Haven't gotten a ton tonight, so we'll do a couple of pre-writtens and then go ahead and call it a night if there's nothing else in the way of Super Chats. And then I'll be back with you again for anybody that's interested. Tomorrow night, we're doing a request for the regular request show at 10 Central on some episodes of the original Ultraman. That's what was requested this time, which I've never seen, so that will be interesting.
Ooh. I might have to get in on that action. That's some prerequisite Power Ranger stuff.
That's true. Good point. I had the split second where I was like, why would DJ care about that? So yeah, that's right. We only did a Power Ranger show together for like
we only did
500
years. Episodes of a show together. Thanks, Cap. Love you too.
Well, I was like, I guess that is kind of tokusatsu, like, or precursor to that stuff. It doesn't have a giant robot, but it's
but he gets giant. Well, and Power Rangers do that sometimes, very rarely. All right,
Robert Davis said, "Nah, I'll face Cap out like Gray Matter did to Walter White." How dare you?
Oh no!
Don't be Gray Matter.
You gonna send Cap on a murder spree?
Look, you saw what happened in the last episode at their mansion, okay? Like you don't want me doing that.
Whoa! Spoiler alert!
I thought you were saying whoa because I shouldn't be threatening people in the audience.
That's fine. You can do that, but just don't spoil movies or shows.
I'm gonna go to your house, Robert Wild. When you're really not now, when you're like super rich and you have this giant mansion, and then I'm gonna have people outside with laser pointers pretending to have guns trained on you. I'm kidding. I would never do that.
Have fun sleeping tonight, Robert Wild.
Not laser pointers. Oh my God! Cap brought his laser pointers.
So speaking of laser pointers, Daniel Davis, in a comment that has nothing to do with that, says, "Guys, have you ever actually not finished a movie?"
Yeah, lots of times.
What, by your own will, or because you fell asleep?
Oh no, both. So and there's a third thing, which is I get interrupted by something and completely forget that I was watching a movie, which happens.
We both have this with the one that we keep bringing up. We got to watch this someday. The serial killer one.
I had it until you said that. It's Zodiac.
Neither
of us has ever finished Zodiac. We've each seen exactly half of that movie.
And we liked what we saw.
Yep.
And then for one reason or another. Yeah, this happens to me. If you guys aren't married with children, or if you are younger, this will happen a lot when you get older, because something always comes up. You rarely have time, or I rarely have 2 hours at a time these days. So I always get interrupted, and then something else will come up, and before I know it, it's been a week and I haven't finished that movie, which is very sad.
This didn't happen as much when I was younger, and you had to. There was kind of, way more at stake, right? Like we talked about video rental stores. You didn't go rent a video and not finish it usually because you had to pay for it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You wouldn't usually buy a movie and not finish it if you actually bothered to start it. Now, my whole life I've bought movies and forgot to put them in. Or it's been a long time and like I hadn't gotten around yet to watching it. I mean, I've done that. Well, it's different when you're collecting.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes you collect things, more for the collecting, and like you collect movies like I collect comics, where it's like, I mean, I like to read them. I plan to, but I also just have to have this. Like,
yeah. Not as much lately these days. I've actually stopped buying new stuff for a while. But yeah, I intend to watch them, but there's just so much dividing my attention. I usually only have like a couple nights a week that I can watch a movie with my wife, or else, yeah, but anyway, I'll give a specific example. Not like that. That's just a boring example. Like, I got busy, I didn't finish it. But a specific example is The Eagle with Channing Tatum. Oh, I like fast forward. I've never fast forwarded a movie, but I started fast forwarding that one, and I still couldn't do it. I just turned it off. That is a terrible movie. Sorry if you love The Eagle. It's like a Roman.
I've never even heard of that.
It's like a Roman times movie. It's like a Roman soldier like going on a. Ugh, it was horrible. Also, the first GI Joe movie, I think I fell asleep during.
I have started, and I can't think of a lot of great examples, but like I have actually started movies and not finished them an embarrassing number of times because I was not getting into them. And that's because of the streaming thing, where like when the world is your oyster and you have, especially in the early days of Netflix, where it had a really great diverse selection, I would just watch the first 5 minutes of something to see if it grabbed my attention. Like, what am I going to watch tonight? I can't decide. I'll sample stuff. You know, I'll watch something for a few minutes, and you can do that now in a way that a lot of people used to with books. You know, you'd go to the library and you'd pick up a book and you'd read the first 2 pages, and if it didn't grab you, you'd put it back on the shelf and go grab something else. You can do that with movies now without spending a fortune if you're subscribed to some services. So, I used to do that some, DJ, and then there have certainly been movies that were just so bad I could not bring myself to keep watching them, and I don't have that as much anymore because most of what I watch is for review, so I have to force myself to finish things a lot. But like I don't even know if I can call it a remake, but the second Hitman movie that's based on that material but not in the same continuity as the first one. I actually like that first movie. It's kind of a guilty pleasure for me. A lot of people didn't care for that. That second one, that has Zachary Quinto in it. He's not Hitman, but he's in that movie. 10 minutes, turn it off, couldn't do it. And I bought it new.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is a good topic because this is absolutely something that you go through with age. Because when I was a kid, when I was younger, like high school, college age, I was this guy. I was like, absolutely, I paid for this. There's no way in heck that I'm gonna not finish this. What are you talking about? Because I was like a cheapskate. You would think I was born in the Depression the way I was with money. And like I was like, I paid for this. Of course I'm not gonna leave. But when you get older, you realize time is more important than money for most of us. And like wasting your time for 2 hours in a movie theater watching something you're hating when you could be at home with your kids or accomplishing something, making art yourself, like it's not worth $20, man. Like, and that's for some people. Obviously there are people who are very, not well off, that money is very important, but you probably wouldn't be at a movie theater anyway. But like, yeah, like once you have a stable job, you're an adult and you have like stable income, time is so much more valuable than money.
Worth more than your money. Absolutely. Yep.
Because you don't get any back. You can always make more money. Never make more time.
Well, and this is one of the reasons that I don't feel the need to go to the movie theater a lot anymore. And during COVID, I had this kind of relief of like, I don't have to go to the theater and waste money to watch things I don't really feel like sitting through or that I'm disappointed with, because I was seeing a lot more bad than good. And things have turned around a little bit since then. I feel like the last couple of years have been okay for at least movies that I've seen. Where like there's been some horrible things and some disappointments, but I've seen more things that I'll actually go back and watch again than I had in a while, and so I'm feeling a little bit less cynical about some of that. But DJ, the worst feeling in the world is I'd love to get up and walk out right now, but I paid $12 to be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've walked out of movies. It's been a long time. But that's one of the reasons that, like, there's a theater that I mostly frequent now where ticket prices, matinees are like $5.50.
Wow, that's great.
And I go to those when I can because I was going to say if it sucks enough, I could more get away with getting up and leaving, but I usually only go to the theater for stuff I'm reviewing, so I can't do that anyway.
Yeah.
I have a couple times gone to movies that I intended on reviewing and disliked so much, or it was just so uninteresting and bad that I didn't feel the need to even weigh in on it. So I wasted my time, and then I also didn't even get a video out of it. This wasn't a thing I saw in the theater, but I had this with the Firestarter remake.
Zac Efron, man, got to get a new agent. He's a good actor, but he keeps
really
getting
bad.
The worst movies ever.
It's awful, and it's like early 2010s horror movie bad, like The Box or Orphan or something. Like it's that kind of bad. And yeah, Orphan was okay, but I still love that movie. But anyway, so he and I both watched it and still didn't review it. We're like, yeah, screw this. I just don't even want to talk about it. I had this several years ago now with the first Fantastic Beasts movie. Eric and I went and saw that, and we came back and we were like, do you really want to have to turn on a camera? No. That's all right. And we didn't talk about it.
It's funny because compared to the second one, that one is great. The second one is so bad.
I can't even imagine.
Oh, you should do it. You should do a blind commentary. It's horrible.
People are still complaining that I haven't talked about the Top Gun sequel yet.
They're still surprised that you haven't seen it. They're like, I still haven't seen.
I haven't.
Maverick?
Nope. Still got to do that. Okay, throw one more at us, DJ, and then we're going to go ahead and bid everybody farewell, I think. And we'll do another one on Thursday, folks. Oh, I was going to talk about the Weird Al trailer, and I totally forgot to do that. Maybe I'll bring that up on Thursday, and we'll talk about it a little bit, because, I mean, you know, not that I have a ton of thoughts, but I'm excited about it. It's really fun. I'll talk about that on Thursday. Or cool. I'll try to remember to. Anyway.
Trailer reaction on Thursday, guys.
If you haven't, I'll just say this, though. If you haven't seen that trailer yet, or even if you have, and you don't know anything about Weird Al and you don't understand that project, it's a parody. I'm really worried that people are going to look at that and think that Weird Al has a tragic backstory. He doesn't. It's a joke, and it's hilarious and awesome that he's, like, intentionally,
parodying back.
What I was going to say is he's intentionally sensationalizing his own life and risking making people think negative things about him just for the sake of a joke, which I respect so much. It's fantastic.
I've only seen one tiny clip of it, but I think it's going to be bizarre and extreme enough that people will get it. I mean,
I hope so.
I wouldn't put it past anyone, I guess, but like if anyone believes all that really happened, that would be surprising.
Yes, Weird Al slept with Madonna. Madonna came to his house to make him make a parody. Anyway.
All right.
It's going to be great.
Should be the last one. Let me get one of Mutale, because I already got one from Daniel Davis. Controversial.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk to us. We'll just leave. Thanks a lot for being here, folks. We sure appreciate it.
Let's see. You want to do just like a one about our personal?
I'm too demanding. Like I just assume that my mod already has 19 things ready to go. I'm like, give us a question.
I do. I mean,
what
I do, but I'm
so
trying
long?
To get one to. You give me this pressure that this one has to end the show. So
yeah.
I'm trying to find one that's like.
No, I'm a jackass. It's true.
This is an interesting one for us to talk about.
Okay.
And if not, I have a backup if you can't think of anything.
If you don't think this is interesting, Kat, if you go, really, that was lame, I have another. But you need 19, okay? Like, this is, look, this is the job, DJ.
I will ask, I don't know which one to ask. Maybe I'll ask both. But this one is, what shows or programs have you gotten into specifically because of your kids? Has that happened? Because of your kids.
I want to say zero.
Zero.
I want to say zero. There are things that they watch that I've, you know, looked at a scene or two in passing, or obviously made sure I knew what they were looking at. My wife watches more stuff with the kids that, you know, just like more current or modern cartoon shows and things. You know, you're like Blazing the Monster Machines and that kind of thing, that I've not really sat through much, but and like things that I've actually like gotten into were like I'm a fan of now, because Jason is trying to get me into a web series or two like that. He's a big fan of Meta Runner, and he showed his mom the first season of that a couple nights ago, because they're shorts, so they put them up as movies, and it's I don't know much about that show because I just, again, saw it in passing. I wasn't really watching it. But it's made in Unreal Engine. So it's like video game cutscenes turned into a show, which I'm not sure I want to sit through 2 hours of, but they make these like 2 hour movies that are the whole season. And Sarah sat through it and said it was pretty good, and she liked it okay. But yeah, I can't think of anything where like I've gotten into. You'd think with as many kids as I have that would have happened by now, and I cannot think of an example.
Yeah, I thought with Jason as his age. Obviously, mine are young; they're not like showing me new stuff yet. But I thought like Jason might have gotten you into some things.
Jason more often. I mean, I'm showing Jason stuff all the time. Like
Yeah.
More
I
often.
know the other way.
That's what we're doing, where he wants to know what all the good older shows are in movies and stuff, because Jason is all about retro stuff, and he thinks that and this is, I mean, obviously I influence him, but he comes to this independently because like Freddy doesn't have this, but Jason legitimately wishes that he had grown up at the exact same time I did, and thinks that my era when I was a kid was just better for entertainment than his. Like the stuff that tickles his fancy and that he sparks his imagination is more the kind of stuff that I grew up with. And he's, as I said before, he's a big video game researcher and stuff, and likes to look at a lot of 80s and 90s stuff. And so he's got me showing him stuff more than anything. We're watching through the first season of 24 together right now, and that is fun. Jason watching 24 is hilarious. Like watching him try to like guess what's happening next, and he loves all the split screen stuff. And
that's amazing. Yeah, I'm sure Jason has got you into some of the seasons of Power Rangers that you weren't really big into, right?
A little bit. Like it's more like I'm planning to watch more of them, right? Like we started Time Force, but I hesitate because the seasons that he loves of that show are seasons that I was always told were the best shows, and I just had always intended on sitting down. Like I would have at some point without him anyway. SPD, Time Force, and RPM specifically, like those are his favorite shows. I always plan on doing that. I just have a little bit more incentive now, so that doesn't even count. You know what I mean? You know what? Jungle Fury is the only one, because that's a show I never would have bothered with if it weren't for Jason, and I've only seen a few episodes of that, but he loves that, and I've only watched that because of him. So I guess that's one. I forgot about that one. Anyway.
Yeah. I obviously my kids are 2 and 4, so I haven't gotten into it because they've told me about things, but I have gotten into a lot of things. He just says because of your kids. Because of my kids, I've been trying a lot of different things because I've been trying to widen our library. So I have gotten in a lot of things because of my kids, not specifically like them telling me about things.
No, and I get that, and I know that about you. I don't have that. You'd think I would, but like I have a huge book library already. And like I haven't thought to really go out of my way and find a lot of other stuff we don't have. Like we have so much already. I haven't done a ton of that. Like and we still buy books and stuff, but like you've gone after a lot of classics and things that you just didn't have before. I've not really taken that plunge. Like
yeah. So I've gotten like I bought all the Charlie Chaplin films so I could watch those with my son.
No, you're clearly a better father than me. That's why this is awkward for me.
I bought the Buster Keaton films. I've been trying to buy like anything animated that was from older days. I try to get that stuff. So yeah, my son's already cooler than me. He's seen a lot. He's seen way more. Like I grew up with nothing but crappy kids 90s movies, and he's already seen like a ton of classics.
Yeah, that's great. We watched, speaking of classics, because I have to prove that I care about my children's intellectual development, and that I'm not that much worse of a father than DJ. The other day, Sarah wanted to watch an old movie, and so I threw on Strangers on a Train, the Hitchcock film, and Jason is already calling that his second favorite movie of all time. Like he loved the climax of that so much. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh yeah, the Ferris wheel. Not the Ferris wheel, the merry-go-round.
Merry-go-round. If you...
It's intense.
Dude, you shoot that now and it's crazy. That's one of the craziest endings I've ever seen of anything. Like, it really holds up. It feels modern. You could do it now, and people would walk out of the theater going, oh my god, that ending. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It doesn't even feel, I don't know, quaint or anything. It also looked really freaking dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they sped it up or what, but it's was intense.
I don't want to give away too much about that ending, and I know that's an old movie, but I don't know how many of you guys have seen Strangers on a Train. I really, really, really recommend it. It's probably my second favorite Hitchcock movie. Not that I've seen everything, but of the movies I've seen, and I mean, like, I like Vertigo, I like Rope. I'm not going to put it over Psycho, but I think it's my second favorite to Psycho. But DJ...
Rear Window is my second favorite.
I've never seen Rear Window. I got to do that.
Oh, Rear Window's so good.
So let me ask you a question. What happens to the old man who goes underneath the merry-go-round? Because it's not it's a carousel.
Carousel, yeah.
He goes under the carousel to stop it, and you know what? And I guess I'm giving away the ending, but you know what? What you think is going to happen is that it's going to slow down gradually, and he just like yanks a lever, and the whole thing flies off, and there's sparks everywhere, and explosion. I don't think it ever cuts back to him. Did he survive? Remember how excited he was to go under there? He's like, finally, I'm going to get to do this. And then I don't think Hitchcock ever does an insert shot where you see what happens to the man.
I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it, but that scene is still burned into my mind.
It's crazy.
It's a good movie. I like that one. I'm trying to remember. I've only seen maybe 10 Hitchcock films, but yeah, that's probably up there.
Anyway.
But anyway,
that was a cool question. I don't like that. I don't think that's actually happened with me. I will say I think Jason's turned me on to like some video game franchises and stuff like that, but not so much with movies and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense because that's his main passion.
Which is weird because his main passion is learning about video games, not playing them.
Playing's for chumps.
He doesn't actually play a lot of video games. He learns about them.
Hey, that's good. That's probably the only kid in the world you can say that about.
Yeah, that might not be true. I don't know. Anyway, well, did you have another one you really want to do, or should we save it for next time?
Well, that one turned out all right.
I think it did too. I'm just making sure because you act like there was another one, and like we can totally go ahead and end off now.
Well, I was torn between two, and I'm glad I went with that one because we got a good conversation about it.
Okay, cool. Well, everybody, thanks a lot for joining us for tonight's edition of the Captain Logan Show. And on Thursday, we'll do another one. We'll have a regular lead-in topic. We won't do this multi-topic thing. But there were just so many little things to talk about, and I didn't want to put really any of them up front. And I also didn't want to have a part 6 of the whole Warner Zaslav thing, even though we kind of did that. But I didn't want to put it in the title again. It's like, man, that's all they're talking about. It feels like that's all that's happening sometimes, even though there's lots of other things happening.
Yeah, Netflix is screwing things up too.
They sure are, yeah. No, it's important to talk about everybody else that's ruining their company, their livelihoods right now. We will be back again on Thursday. I don't know what the lead-in topic will be, but I hope you'll consider joining us and take a look, if you're so inclined, at the new Superhero Rewind, the Captain Logan Show YouTube channel. A part of me wants to do a Rewind one at some point as well. But anyway, we have a secondary Captain Logan Show channel. It is clips from this show. Tomorrow, you'll probably see a clip from this episode of the show. And of course, if you're watching right now, you've already seen that. But if you missed the show and you missed some of it and you don't want to go back and listen to the entire thing, you can just wait and see what clips come up there, and you might be more interested in the specific episodes than you are in this show. That, not to discourage anybody from listening to the whole show, but different people have different ways they like looking at YouTube videos, and I'm trying to make it possible for people to enjoy this both ways, either long form or short form. So thanks a bunch once again for being here, and we'll see you again next time. I was Captain Logan, and we had, as always, DJ Martinez.
Later, guys.
Bye, guys.